Teachers at a prestigious conservatory routinely dismissed Lillian Porter, the quiet new assistant. When a crisis strikes during an important recital, they force her to attempt an impossible piano piece. Little do they know that the simple woman they've been belittling is actually one of the world's most celebrated pianists. The Robertson Conservatory hummed with music as Lillian Porter moved like a ghost, rearranging sheet music and dusting piano keys. At 38, she blended into the background deliberately, 6 weeks into her position as an administrative assistant. Miss Porter, these need to be organized by composer, not chronologically. Dr. Constance Whitmore's voice cut sharp and demanding. Of course, Dr. Whitmore. I'll fix it right away, Lillian replied softly. As she reorganized the music, her eyes lingered on a difficult list transcription. Her fingers twitched imperceptibly, 5 years since she'd performed. Daydreaming on the job, Miss Porter, Professor Thornton startled her. For someone who claims no formal musical training, you organize those pieces as if you understand their complexity. Lillian kept her eyes down. I've picked up a few things working here. Understanding music requires more than familiarity with paper and ink. It takes years of discipline and proper breeding, he replied dismissively. The morning of the scholarship competition arrived with nervous energy. Backstage, Gregory Palmer, the conservatory star, stood pale and trembling. You're playing the list, aren't you? Lillian approached him. I don't know if I can do it, he confessed. She flipped to the difficult passage. You're approaching this too aggressively. Think of it as waves rather than lightning. Gregory stared at her. How do you know that? During the performances, Lillian listened from the green room. At the judges' table, Professor Thornton noticed her presence. Tell me, Miss Porter, what did you think of Mr. Palmer's performance? Lillian answered honestly. His technique was excellent, but he hasn't yet found the piece's heart. List transcriptions capture both composers' souls. The silence was deafening. Please leave the artistic assessments to those qualified, Dr. Whitmore snapped. After intermission, crisis struck. What do you mean he can't perform? Dr. Whitmore hissed. Gregory sat with his head between his knees, right hand trembling uncontrollably. I can't feel my fingers. The Danson Foundation donation hinges on today's performances, Dr. Whitmore said desperately. We have no options. Actually, Lillian said, rising, I could play instead. Professor Thornton laughed. Don't be absurd, Miss Porter. I'm not joking, she replied. You're an administrative assistant, Dr. Whitmore said slowly. This is one of the most technically challenging pieces in the repertoire. I'm aware of its difficulty. Madame Du Bois studied her. You said you had no musical training. I never actually said that. You all assumed. Desperation won. Fine. Miss Porter will play, Dr. Whitmore decided. If you embarrass this institution, your employment will be terminated immediately. As they ushered her toward stage, Thornton thrust the sheet music at her. At least try to look at this. Lillian smiled. I won't need these. From the first commanding chords, it was clear something extraordinary was happening. Lillian's fingers moved with impossible precision. The famous four-note motif resonated with all the power of an orchestra. Polite attention became stunned disbelief, then rapt amazement. Madame Du Bois clutched Thornton's arm, whispering, Say Lillian Kurtz. The name rippled through the audience. The prodigy who had disappeared 5 years ago after a disastrous comeback attempt. Lillian played with wisdom born of triumph and devastating loss. As she concluded, silence held for 3 heartbeats. Then the audience erupted in thunderous, standing ovation. Dr. Whitmore took the microphone. Would you introduce yourself properly, Miss Porter? Or should I say Miss Kurtz? Lillian stepped forward. Yes, I am Lillian Kurtz. She explained. 5 years ago, I suffered an injury that doctors believed would end my career. I needed to rediscover my relationship with music away from pressure. I wanted to immerse myself here before deciding my next steps. Why didn't you tell us? Madame Du Bois asked. Would you have treated me the same? Lillian responded gently. Robert Danson stood. My foundation came hoping to fund new talent, but we've witnessed a triumphant return. Would you consider giving a masterclass? Dr. Whitmore eagerly announced discussions about an artist-in-residence position. Gregory approached hesitantly. Will you teach me? I'd be honored, Lillian replied. But only if you promise to play for yourself, not for them. Looking at the young musician's face, she realized her next chapter. Not touring virtuoso, but teacher, mentor, guide. 1 month later, Lillian sat in her new office, artist-in-residence nameplate on the door. As Gregory played, she reflected, sometimes the greatest revelations come from finally having the courage to reveal who we are. The most extraordinary people often appear the most ordinary at first glance.